Hello, 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 everyone. This is Jasmine from A Notch Higher Living YouTube channel, and I am back in town. Actually, going to get on. There we go. Speaker view, because or gallery view, because I have a beautiful guest with me today, and her name is Candace Mackey. Welcome, Candace. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Jasmine. It's so good to see you. Welcome back.
Yay! Thank you. It's great to have you here. And let me set up Candace for you all. I'm going to have her share about herself, but I'm going to let you know how I know Candace. So this year, 2024, I participated in extreme execution coaching through Dr. Eric Thomas's company, Thomas and Thomas. And what that is a certification for people to be able to administer the flight assessment, which is based off the DISC model. The reason why I reached out to Candace is that while going through some of the modules through our certification,
Mhm.
Candace, she shared a presentation, and I will link the video to the YouTube episode that I actually of it because she talked about the SWAG model and going through your life with SWAG. And it's so interesting because I literally listened to it on whatever day I did when I was going through the replay. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to use that content for a video because it was so profound. So I asked Candace, I reached out to her and I said, hey, I haven't met you personally, but your SWAG model framework is awesome. Would you mind me interviewing you and sharing with people on my YouTube channel this model because I think it would be very beneficial, practical, and helpful for them. So I want to set her up that way because I'm going to have Candace share a little bit about herself, and then we'll get into some of the questions for the interview. So Candace, take it away, ma'am.
Brilliant. Jasmine, thank you so much for that little bit of an opening. I, Jasmine and I are both extreme execution coaches, and my certification came through in 2020. And since then, I've been doing some other things. So I'm kind of community adjacent to Jasmine. So when her request came through, I was like, who is this? People are still out there watching that?
Yes, we are. Yes, deep. What up, EE fam? E2 fam? That's what I call them. Okay.
Yes, yes. So I was a little thrown off by that because it's just become so much a part of my life that I don't see it as something that I do. It's just something that I am.
Powerful.
And so thank you again for kind of bringing that back to my consciousness, if you will, and feeling as though it's something that your community could utilize.
Most definitely. You are welcome.
So
Thank you.
you're very welcome. So my name is Candace Mackey. I'm an online business coach. I help visionaries, and a visionary could be an entrepreneur. It could be a mom. It could be anybody that has a ton of ideas where they're kind of all over the place. From an extreme execution perspective, we would categorize them as flight attendants, but not all that not all visionaries are just flight attendants. They just tend to lean into it a little bit more.
Yeah.
But I help visionary entrepreneurs automate their process, increase their client reach, and then be able to scale their business. Um, and I use a lot of the principles from extreme execution to be able to accomplish that. I have only been like a full-time entrepreneur since February of 2023. I was part of the giant tech layoffs last year.
Okay.
And previous to that, I spent decades in corporate America. My
Nice.
longest stint was working 17 years for Toyota Financial. I've worked for companies I've been like a tax supervisor for ADP. I have, I did program management for GoDaddy,
Okay.
supervision and training for AT&T Wireless, etc. So a lot of my formal training comes from a call center environment. And if
Okay.
anybody knows anything about call centers, it's
Yes.
hundreds of people day after day,
After
year
day.
after
Yes.
year. And when
Yes.
you get into
Yes.
leadership, It's training those individuals to be able to speak to the hundreds of people day after day, day after day.
Hmm.
So,
Hmm. Hmm.
lots of experience working with people and being able to get them to a point where they can make a decision. And that's where the SWAG model comes in.
I love it. And as usual, per normal, and then this one is even more special. You can see I never bring people on here that you cannot say are high caliber. They are very high caliber. This is another high caliber individual. So I will have Candace's information for anyone who may want to get in contact with Candace because at this channel, this is what I want to connect people with the resources that you need. It's called a notch higher living because sometimes we need one thing, maybe just one step to take us to that next level. And that's a notch higher. So there you have it. So I will have that in the description box and we will get into asking Candace some questions and honoring your time. So again, I shared about the SWAG model. You let us know that you apply the SWAG model. So, can you please give us a description of the SWAG model? I know I did my best and I share with people, but I would like to see if we can do what you've done over the presentation that I saw, that we can just
Yeah.
go through it so people can see what it really looks like.
Sure, sure. Let's do some practical application.
Yes.
Do you want to do it where you have a decision that you want to make, or do we want to talk about a particular, say, position or industry? What would you like me to kind of apply it to?
Let's see. Let's do me because I want people to know that it's something that really that they can do and they can
Okay,
handle. Yes.
brilliant. And
Yes.
is there a place that you're stuck or that you have a big decision that you have to make in the near future?
Can it be for a conversation that I know I need to have? And it's a,
Absolutely.
okay.
Listen,
Yes.
the SWAG
Yes.
model is universally applicable personally, in business, tangible,
Perfect.
practical, whatever. So let me know what you
Perfect.
got.
Okay, so I have a situation where I have been helping this organizer for an event, and
Mhm.
I know I'm going to have to, for myself, clarify some communication expectations so that we can be on a clear path and clear foot right now, as opposed to get, down the road and it's just like things have built up. Is that enough
Okay.
context?
Sure, sure, sure,
Okay,
sure. Because then
okay,
what it'll do is it'll have me ask you some additional questions if necessary.
perfect. Okay.
All right. So, what I'm hearing is that you have a decision that you want to make.
Mhm.
You have a conversation with an individual that's coming. So,
Mhm.
what's your relationship with that individual?
I have volunteered in the past before, and I've worked on a
Okay.
project with this person before, so we've been in
So, it's
contact
more
that way.
associative,
More an
right?
associate, yes, at associate
Okay.
level, most definitely. Mhm.
Okay. Very good. And you've worked with them in the past?
I have, yes.
Have you had a time in the past where um, a decision didn't quite go the way, or like the personality or the vibe wasn't right? And so there's a little bit of emotion when you think about, please excuse me, having a
No problem.
conversation with this person. Is
A
there a little bit
little,
of,
a
okay,
little, yes.
okay,
Just because of the way that the last project ended,
okay,
the communication, that's why I'm even thinking about it now. I'm like, you need to nip this in the bud now, as opposed to we were at the end of the project and then I just assumed that things were clear or taken care
mm,
of, but I needed to ask more questions.
boom, there it is.
Mhm.
So the SWAG model, just
Yeah.
practically before I get into like the super details with Jasmine, for the edification of your audience, you're moving with SWAG. The S is for self-awareness. The W stands for wisdom. The A is for acceptance. And then the G is for grace. I say grace. Jasmine and I got into a
Not
conversation
gratitude.
this morning, and she said gratitude. And gratitude is equally applicable. But what I'm going to say is that you're going to express grace through
Okay.
gratitude. So
Okay.
I may have to steal that. May have to give you an extra little
It's
2% from
yours.
the licensing royalties,
Hey,
Jasmine.
hey, it's yours. Yes. Let's do this. I
I
love it.
love
I love it.
that you threw that gratitude in there. Thank you.
No problem.
Okay, so if for the audience sake, what you guys saw me do was ask Jasmine the backstory. I needed to understand and get some more context around why having this conversation, which should be a very simple thing, you express your needs, you express your wants, you express your observations and your position, and then you have an exchange. That's all the conversation is, right?
Mhm,
An
mhm,
exchange of ideas, an
mhm.
exchange of words, an exchange of energy. But she's finding resistance in having this conversation. And so the questioning is to bring an increase to her self awareness. She's moving into a current conversation based on old knowledge, old feelings, the past. And
Mhm,
when you bring the past to a current conversation, it's never good because
mhm,
you don't see the person today for who they are.
mhm.
And so I don't know that that person has done any work. Her spirit and her energy tells her that the person today that she needs to have a conversation with is exactly the person that she worked with before, which stands to reason, right? We
Mhm,
all make
mhm,
decisions based on experience.
mhm.
So, um, what I would ask you to do is to when you get ready to have the conversations, acknowledge the feelings that you have, be incredibly self-aware,
Okay.
but also ensure that you're not coming to that conversation where outside influences are will play a factor or become a variable in how the conversation goes. So, are you happy? Are you hungry? Are you sad? Are you sleep deprived? Are you low on caffeine? Or are you
Yeah, I got you.
caffeinated, right?
Yeah,
All of
yeah,
those
yeah.
things will affect
Will
the
impact,
Jasmine that
impact.
comes to that
Yeah,
conversation.
that
Does
makes
that make
sense. If I'm
sense?
sleepy, yes, yes.
Absolutely, right? Like
Irritable.
our emotions are affected by our physical state.
Yes.
So when you get ready to have the conversation, make sure that you're the best you that you can be
Makes
so
sense.
that you come with the best intentions, the best energy, and the best optimism,
I love it.
right?
Yes, that makes sense. Hmm.
Wisdom, the decision and the conversation that you have to have,
Hmm.
right? We're going to move to wisdom. The decision and the
Okay.
conversation that you have to have. You have your knowledge,
Hmm.
which is your truth.
Hmm.
The other individual has their knowledge and their truth.
Hmm.
How do we get to the truth? Through questioning.
Got it.
Increase your wisdom through the, obtaining of knowledge. Also, you're an extreme execution coach, so
Hmm.
you understand the four behavioral styles.
Yes.
Based on how you've worked with that individual before, what would you say they are?
I definitely
What's their
can.
superpower?
Yeah, I definitely can see a high level of grounds crew.
Ooh, okay.
But I
Okay.
also, because of the way this person has moved, I could see some pilot too, which is interesting because
Mhm.
when I thought about having the conversation, I
Mhm.
want to provide the assessment so that I can let the person know I've been more aware and I've taken the assessment. So
Yep.
I want to give that to the team. So it's interesting that you said that.
Yeah, yeah. And even if you never get to the assessment,
Hmm.
you
Hmm.
can tell by how they answer things, how
Hmm.
they show up to situations, etc. Because when
Hmm.
you say that you feel as though they're grounds crew,
Hmm.
that's pace, that's intention, that's
Yes.
supportive.
Hmm.
But then you say you felt pilot, they could be adapting into their pilot,
Hmm.
which is it's not it's an unmanaged, it's an immature pilot, which is where the conversation typically kind of goes awry,
Right,
right?
right, right,
So
right.
leaning on your wisdom,
Mhm.
use the language that appeals to them,
Makes sense. Makes sense.
right? So
Yes. Yes.
without questioning and taking up too much of the time, I think you understand kind of where I'm going, right? Like
Mhm.
really make
Mhm.
those observations, use the language. We have enough in our own assessment write-up documents where there's enough language for us to be able to kind of glean some of the things to say to individuals when we see these tendencies show up.
And you made a great point because actually, flight attendant could actually be in there too. I
Hmm.
understand because I am a high flight attendant.
Okay.
I know my limitations more. And no, no, no. When I say no, I'm working more on my limitations in a authentic and a realistic way,
Hmm.
in a
Hmm.
self-aware way. So
Yeah,
when you're saying this, that's even why I want to come to the conversation because I know what it can look like to go south, so to speak, if that makes sense.
absolutely. Absolutely. And if that flight attendant is kind of all over the place, that's not the time. Because that's that visionary mind that's kind of all over the place trying to make decisions and make sure that they're protecting their persona and the experience, etc. Right? So um,
Exactly. Yeah.
lean into that.
Mhm.
Lean into what feels good for you when people approached you to
Mhm.
have tough conversations, and see what you
Yes.
can do to kind of employ some of those same tactics.
Good. Good. Yes. Thank you.
You're welcome. Now,
Yes.
we're going to move into acceptance.
Okay.
Okay. The acceptance, this is what I want everybody to understand. Acceptance does not equal agreement. Acceptance absolutely does not equal agreement. It just means they are who they are. You are who you are. You have your own boundaries that work for you, that protect you, that,
Mhm.
you know, ensure that you move through life in a way that's comfortable for you,
Mhm.
which is not always great
Mhm.
because the comfort
Exactly.
zone is not the growth zone, right?
There.
So,
There you have it. Yes.
footnote,
Mhm.
right?
Right. Right.
But, what in this instance when they come to the conversation, if you feel like you left off on a bad foot, like address the elephant in the room,
Got it.
because it is what it is, right?
Mhm.
Hey, we worked on that project before. I felt like the project worked really, really well, but I wanted to talk about like the very end and how in this new project we could make some additional
Yeah.
progress because I made some observations at the end and I wanted to see, this is your flight attendant people, bring them
Yeah.
to the
Yeah.
experience,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
I wanted
Mhm.
to see if you felt some of the same things.
I love it.
And they're
Yes.
going to
Yes.
give you their perception, their experience.
Mhm.
And then you're going to say, okay, right? So the acceptance is not to defend. Do
Good.
not defend.
That's a good
It's
point.
to
Mhm.
go, okay, I can see how you would say that. Right.
Yeah.
And it's not to do kind of the tit for tat.
Mhm.
I only said it because,
Mhm.
and then it becomes, well, I only did it because,
That's the
and you're
back and
stuck.
forth.
It
Yeah,
is.
yes,
It
the
is.
spiral. Mhm,
Yeah.
mhm,
Right. So we want to avoid that. It wastes time, puts people on the defense. And when people have to defend, it's because they feel as though they're not being valued or accepted. Or for
mhm.
some individuals, they're being told that they're not worthy, not
Yes,
smart enough. Like it's a
yes,
whole gamut in the
yes.
background, right?
And the environment is no longer safe. Like you're no
Correct.
going into the conversation like now I'm heading, back in as far as way as possible. Yes.
Absolutely.
Mhm,
Absolutely.
mhm.
So you just kind of take it and you go, okay, I own my piece.
I own my
So what
peace.
can we do going forward so we don't run into this? And it could be a series of asking questions. So what could I have done? Right? So because you have to work with this person, there's a project coming up, progress has to move forward. You guys are
Yes.
the assigned individuals. Sometimes
Mhm.
you got to take one for the team and fall on the sword and say, okay, what could I have done differently?
Yes. Got
And they
it.
may say something that kind of doesn't work with your boundaries.
Mhm.
So the key to this is to be very, very clear about your expected outcomes. Because if they come and they say, okay, well, I felt as though you should be working 8 hours and I work 4, you're able to say, well, help me understand how that's fair or even. Where's the equality in that?
Yeah.
So you don't defend and say, no, I can't do that. You say, help me understand how
Understood.
you came to that.
Still
And
moving
then,
towards the conversation.
absolutely,
Got it.
absolutely,
Hmm.
right? And what they say in their position, again, acceptance, but the clarity is required for your own individual boundaries and needs and what's going to keep you comfortable. Again, self awareness, your
Yes.
wisdom,
Yes.
and then I'm gonna accept. I don't agree, but here are my needs.
Yes. Great. Yeah. Great point.
Right.
I
And
love
then
this.
lastly, grace.
Grace.
And it's grace on both sides of the fence, right?
Hmm.
Grace that, so I've been in these situations where, so I was a young mother,
Okay.
and when I say young, I mean like I gave birth at 15 young.
Okay.
And part of that story is a cousin went to her mother, which was my grandmother's sister, right? It gets a little complicated. I
Hmm.
apologize.
Not a problem.
But anyway, she was the one that kind of broke the story in the family.
Got it. Okay.
And was it last year? Last year in 2023.
Hmm.
She's down in South Texas. She's an usher at Lakewood Church. She invites me to church. We go to church. I have a wonderful time. I
Hmm.
meet Joel Osteen.
Oh,
We sit
nice.
down for lunch and we start talking. And I don't even know how we got here. But
Okay.
we start talking, and I said, well, the fact that you said X, Y, and Z and started this spiral in the family, like, and we started talking about it. She goes, what are you talking about?
Mm.
I said, you don't remember? And she said, keep talking. I think it's coming back to me now. And so I say all that to say, I spent 40
Yeah.
years
Yeah.
holding on to something, letting it define me.
Gotcha.
And rather than saying, God, that was so stupid. I can't believe you did that, beating
Yeah.
myself up, I said, you know what? It's your fault for not having the conversation earlier and allowing this story to, kind of sit and fester and grow into the giant boogeyman in my brain.
Sure. Sure. Sure.
So I had to extend grace to myself,
Yeah. Yeah.
but I also extended grace to her because all of a sudden I had to now make her not the boogeyman
Right.
because
Adjust the
what she
story.
explained to me
Yeah.
was
Hmm.
her parents were going through a divorce and they were moving across the country and the dad had a new girl. Like it was such a thing.
So much. Yeah. Yeah.
And when
Hmm.
we don't understand and know what's happening on the other side, we create stories in our mind. And so we've got to give ourselves some grace to understand that we make mistakes. We're human, we're fallible, and then express that gratitude to thank God and say, you know what? Thank you for bringing this to my awareness so that I'm not
Yes.
held hostage and a victim by that. So in
Wow.
your instance,
Hmm.
right? He, this person, he, she,
Hmm.
may come and be able to say, oh, yeah, during that time, I thought, or I was going through, or I assumed, or I was told, because we
Yeah.
don't have both sides of the story. You just have your experience.
Very true. Hmm.
And
Hmm.
until there's that conversation, so your conversation is not going to take as long as it took for me to express it,
I hear you,
but you know
but
how the
it's
human
important.
mind works,
Yes,
right? So
most
I just
definitely.
broke down the decisions and how quickly we make those decisions and process that information in our
Yes,
mind.
yes, yes. So let's run through the acronym again because
Sure.
we want people to hear that it starts with swag. So moving through life with swag starts with self-awareness. One.
Yes, absolutely. Yep.
Yes. And then it's going to go to wisdom, which is the W. So you want to apply wisdom. And again, I'm just doing it for a breakdown. And
No,
then we
please.
move into acceptance. and
Mhm.
then finally, grace. So, all of these points will be in the description. I just really want us to sit for just a second so people can take it in. Think about a moment, think about a situation where you need to
Mhm.
apply swag. So, I'm just going to pause. I'm not afraid of silence.
Mhm. Mhm.
I typically count to 30 just so I can give myself, because my brain will be like, that's too long. The reason why I'm not afraid of silence is because what you said, even with you describing and going and walking through it for me, I think that has been like a cheat code for me, someone who has gone more quickly or faster through things. That's one
Mhm.
thing that can really help as we're moving through swag. That slow down, that stop it. Anyone who's watched videos for me, I am definitely into slowing down,
Mhm.
Sabbathing, silence, because in that silence, there's a stillness, but there's also the ability to even process our swag. So I'm just gonna put, yeah,
100%.
I'm gonna put all that into the mix. So thank you for walking me and us through that, because I want
You're
people to
very
see
welcome.
from a practical level. I didn't know that scenario, but I thought about it today, and I think I'm going to have the conversation today. So I am actually going to use that model today. So thank you.
Super proud of you.
Yes, yes,
Super
yes,
proud of
yes.
you.
And I will
And
let
then
you know how it
and then
goes.
report back. Yeah,
I
report back
definitely
so we
will.
could
I
hear how it
definitely will.
worked.
I definitely will. So
It just, it's so universally applicable. Um,
agreed. Agreed.
you talked about how that individual's a flight attendant. You've got some flight attendant tendencies. My
Hmm.
very first flight assessment said that I was a 99 flight attendant.
Wow. Okay.
So I understand, right? And and I'm sure
Yes.
you've told your audience like your assessment will fluctuate through your seasons. I've always maintained a constant GC, so constantly in the mid
Okay.
to high 60s.
Okay.
When I became an entrepreneur, it shot to 91 for GC, and
Oh,
my flight attendant fell
wow.
back because I wasn't
Got
in front of
it.
people anymore.
Makes sense. Yes,
You're
yes,
right,
yes.
right?
Mhm,
But
mhm.
that people orientation will always be there. And
Most
that's where
definitely.
the swag model kind of came in because those of us who just have a heart to serve, who are here about the experience, who care so very much in making sure that everybody else is taken care of, which is the people and the experience,
Mhm.
um, we tend to go, 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 go all the time,
Yeah, yeah,
all the time. And
yeah.
it is in that silence, it is in this reflection that the power comes, that the acceleration comes, that the scaling comes. So
Mhm,
I
mhm.
really do hope that your audience takes some time to really just, because in that silence is where the divine downloads come in. And all of a sudden you're
Yes.
like, I know what to do. I know what to
Wow.
say.
Yes,
I
yes.
never thought
That's
about it that
that's the
way.
moment. Exactly, exactly, exactly. Yes, that light bulb moment. Yes, and that, yes, epiphany moment. I love it. I love it.
Yes.
So
Yes.
you already took us through the swag model. I think the last question I want to have for you before I ask you how people can get in contact with you
Yeah.
is this channel. I created it in 2020. I'm a book nerd, and I was like,
Mm,
I'm going to just talk about books
love
and
it.
books that have helped me and things of that nature. And it was more of um, creating the space, because as of 2016, I counted the years. It's 8 years where I had um, this book given to me by my sisters called Emotional Healthy Spirituality by
Mm,
Pete Scazzaro. Excuse me. His wife too has books out, but it's been very beneficial for me, and that's why I'm creating a space for people to be able to learn about healthy relationship skills, where they're
right.
learned, develop, practice in order to thrive.
Mhm,
With that being said, and now knowing more about myself with the flight attendant tendency specifically,
mhm,
I have an energizing and inspiring, like that's my go-to.
mhm,
But what I understand is that there are challenges and difficulties that people have in life. So I've become even more aware of my like limitations where people can say like, well, you're not really thinking realistically. So now I label myself a realistic optimist.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, no, I know that that building is burning. I know it can be, handled, but what are we going to do? And that's been helping me balance out. So when people are thinking about moving through life with swag,
Yeah.
because again, there are certain preference styles or styles that kind of go more to the negative than the positive. And I'm
Yes.
not going to say one is better than the other. In a
Yeah.
realistic way, we all have difficulties and challenges.
Correct.
You've given me the example and our audience the example of how you can apply it in my situation.
Sure.
But can you talk to the difficulties and challenges that we all have? Because I would I would play the devil's advocate here to say like, well, you don't know what I've been through. Well, you don't know what I'm experiencing.
Mm-hmm.
But just talk
Mm-hmm.
to the person who may say like, well, that may just not work for me because I have this. You talked about even being a young mother while you didn't have it at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Now, later on, you were applying this model that if you had it at the time, it may have taken a different, route. So can you speak to that?
Mm. Yeah. A lot of the clients that I've been coaching lately, I'll just say I'll just say mid to late 40s, early
Okay.
50s. I've been a lot of clients, right? Like people that are moving into this empty nester stage,
Okay.
this transition in life, this
Mm-hmm.
I'm closer to retirement than the beginning of my career stage. They've been going through identity issues. Like, what's my purpose? I'm not getting anything done that I want to do,
Mm-hmm.
especially us moms, because we're in such deep service to our
Yeah.
families.
Yes.
Um, I spoke to a mother last week. She's a mother of five. She's married. She's been in her career for a very long time. And
Mm,
she's at this stage where she's like, I wish I hadn't had kids. I'm just really tired. I'm
yeah.
so tired. I want to do this and I want to do that and I want to do this and I want to do that.
Wow.
And so my advice to her, and I had to take her through the swag model, and I never tell you when I'm coaching you, I never tell you I'm now moving you into the self-awareness.
Sure,
So what
sure.
wisdom
Yeah.
are we
Yeah,
leaning on today?
exactly.
Like it's never
Acceptance.
that.
I
It's
love it.
never
Yes.
that. But I got her to really kind of break down like, what are you doing for you? And why do you feel that way? And just
Mm,
because really that self-awareness and wisdom really goes hand in hand.
yes.
It's just that I
Hmm.
put, delimiters on there and the definition
Right.
grew and it's kind of fun.
Right.
But the
Hmm.
self-awareness and the wisdom kind of goes hand in hand. And so when I'm speaking to these individuals, I am finding we're not being kind to ourselves. We're not saying anything positive about ourselves. I asked that woman to say her name, first and last name. And she said, I can't even say my name. And it just broke my heart.
Yeah.
So, again, it's the self awareness. I want your listeners, anyone that sees this, just sit and just understand the emotions that you have because we spend a lot of time masking our emotions. And even though emotions can be incredibly destructive, they can also be in the breakthrough you need.
Exactly. Yes.
I
Yes.
use a
Yes.
very simple term. I say, you have to get ready to step off the curb into traffic.
Come on now.
You're going to get hit and it's going to
Yeah.
hurt.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But eventually you will make it to the other side. And when you
Hmm.
get to the other side, you're going to
Hmm.
feel
Hmm.
battered and bruised,
Hmm.
but you'll heal. There's healing on the other side. So every day,
Hmm.
I want you to say three kind things about yourself. I used to say one, and I was like, no, you can come up with three. I have all five toes.
Come on now.
I don't have long earlobes. Like, whatever corny thing you come up
Whatever.
with,
Exactly, exactly.
but it must be positive and it must be about your person. And it cannot be because I asked that same client, I said, say something kind about yourself today. She said, I finished the dishes. I said, no, ma'am.
Yes.
No,
Come on
ma'am.
now. It's not what
That
you
was
do.
something you did
Yes.
for something for someone
Yes.
else, in service to someone
In
else.
service to someone else.
It
Yes.
must be about you, your skills, who you are,
Hmm.
like the soul of who you are,
Hmm.
you as a being.
Yes.
So say three kind things about yourself. And I need you to continue that
Hmm.
for at least, I'm going to say the corny 21 days.
Yeah. And then add another 21 days and then
And then
another.
add another 21 days.
And another
Exactly,
one. And
right?
another one. Yes.
But just
Yes.
think, like after 21 days, you've said 63 kind things about you,
About
not about what
yourself.
you do, not
Hmm.
about who you are to someone else, but
Hmm.
about you.
Yeah. That's
And
powerful.
in that kindness, you must sit quiet. Remember, you talked about silence.
Hmm.
Allow the emotions and the thoughts to come.
Yeah.
Because I found that for some, saying something nice about yourself brings emotions because so many of us don't feel like we're worthy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like we're worthy of kind words to ourselves. Wow.
It's powerful. That's so powerful.
And it's not a verbose, um, it's not, oh God,
Bravado.
what's that?
Yes.
Yeah,
Hmm.
it,
Hmm.
it's not that you're coming out there like I'm all that in a bag. That's
Exactly.
not it.
That's not it.
It's just recognizing who you are as a child of God that's wonderfully and beautifully made.
That's it.
That's
That's
it.
it. That's it. Period.
Say nice things about yourself. And then I want you to add one dream a day. What do you dream about? Where do you want to go? What's on that wish list? I want to finish my bachelor's degree.
Hmm.
I dream about traveling to Hawaii. I dream
Hmm.
about taking a plane trip, period. Some people haven't even left. Like the Wiz. You haven't even
Yeah.
been north of 135th Street or whatever street she said in the movie.
Right, right.
But it's to take the,
Yes.
I want to take the vacation. I want to go see the things that I see on TikTok and Instagram. Like those places are
Yes.
real.
Yeah. Just don't want to watch it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Experience life. What do you want to experience in life? Is that a
Experience life.
business? And then once you start, you're saying kind things, you're starting to write out your dreams. I want you to find a confidant, a partner, a collaborator, because no one does life by themselves. And if you're doing life by yourself, you've not gotten very far. You're going to top out. Even Jesus had the disciples.
Speak the truth, ma'am.
Black Panther and Captain America and Iron Man, they had each other, the Avengers.
Let's go in the 21st century too. All right. I love this. I love this. Yes. Come on now.
Everybody needs a
Yes.
team. Even if it's
Everybody
just a
needs a
team of
team.
two, you
Yeah.
got to have
Yeah.
somebody with you to kind of
Hmm.
talk through things, help you process things. And hopefully it's someone that has practiced the term. Have you ever thought about, you know what I was thinking?
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
so much power in our minds.
Yeah. I love it.
Remember, our brains are more powerful than a computer, but we
Yes.
don't tap
Yes.
into those things. We don't tap into those areas of our mind. So, yeah, and just know that it's
That's
going to take some time. It's going to take
mhm.
some time. It's not overnight. And I
Yeah.
think a lot of people they stop because the road is rough. It's up, it's down, it's glass, it's thorns, it's rocks, it's
Yes.
smooth, it's hot, it's
Hmm.
cold,
Yeah.
it's forwards, it's backwards,
Very much so.
but it's progress. And so for those
Mm.
that feel as though they can't immediately apply swag because they're stuck, they're overwhelmed, I don't even know what to decide and think about first.
Mm-hmm.
Just think about the next hour. Don't get caught up in trying to plan next week or next month,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
everybody's in 2025 planning right now. If you're not good at planning like your dinner, like I don't even know what I'm gonna have for dinner.
Break it down,
Start being
please.
it. You know what I'm saying? Like just be intentional about the
Yes.
little decisions and begin to
Yes.
exercise that decision muscle. Just make
Yes.
decision making to is practice.
Yes.
It's not automatic, especially for people who have taken the flight assessment and their decision
Mm-hmm.
makers, their pilots are low.
Yes.
You've got to get into the habit of making tiny decisions and then you'll start to see it grow.
Build that muscle. Mm-hmm.
Hmm. Yeah. And then once you
And
build it, then it's mastery. Because just because you have a high
yes.
score doesn't mean that you've mastered it. That's why you need to get into community with someone who can help you process where you are.
Now, ma'am, you just summed up this entire interview so politely, gracefully, and with swag. Let me tell you why. Because people like you, who I am now in contact with from a different level, are going to be, and we're going to get this connection so I can get you in there. I'm coming out with a workbook. It's called Healthy by Design, and it's
Brilliant.
focusing on 6 areas. The 6 areas are emotional, which I love how you talk so much about it today. It's financial, physical, relational, spiritual, and vocational, which is business or career. I have the
Brilliant.
sample book here. It's up. I've been showing
Beautiful.
it.
Beautiful.
It's gonna be soft cover now. I may have hardcover, but what I want to include is that what you just said, there's going to be a component, it's in the book, but the component where people can reach out in each of the 6 areas. So I'm going to have you in one of those areas digitally because that's what's changed my life.
Mm,
It's being able to connect with a resource. I'm in the ETA community. I've gone
yeah.
through Breathe University. I've read books. That's why this YouTube channel started, because books have transformed my life. I've met people who I would have never met without
Yeah.
reading. And I
Right.
always tell people, yes, I I owe it to our ancestors that have gone before us. It was illegal for them to read. And now I can walk
Yeah.
into any
Yeah.
library and I can
Yeah.
pick up any book and no one can say anything to me. So, healthy by design is what you're saying, is connecting people with people from other communities. And what I
Mhm.
understand, because we will have a community component, and that's what I really, we're going to do something else. I'm not sure what, because
Okay.
what I understand is that people, and I say this, when we talk about community, it's the same thing when I say family. Depending on your experience, I'm thinking about my experience, and then you're thinking about your experience. So
Yes.
when we say
Yes.
community, it's like, well, this is what I think community is, and you're telling, or you're coming from your perspective. But
Right.
now I understand people need to understand. And again, the channel is to learn, develop, practice so that we can thrive. There are
Mhm.
some things that we have to unlearn, because while
Yes.
our family of origin is what we know, it may not always be the best that we take everything from it, within it, another
Right.
community. But at the
Right.
same time, we need to now, with emotional maturity and emotional health, those are like 2 of my life values now. Maturity, like you said, with
Mm.
those emotions. It's not perfection. It's to know, like, oh, yeah, I can go off on you, but then let's play the movie. What is it going to look like? What is
Correct.
it going to sound like? What
Correct.
is it going to,
Let's
like,
play the
what is it going to,
movie. I
yeah,
love that.
let's put it together in a place where in the container I'm gonna just go hit a punching bag, right? Or I have other things that I can do. But Healthy by Design now is able to be pre-ordered. I'm shouting this out for other people,
Oh,
but I want
yeah.
other people to know that people and wonderful guests like Candace are going to be who you can connect with in Healthy by Design, because that's what the framework is all about. It's about setting people into a place where you can go to say, like, I don't, like you said, I don't know where to start.
Mhm.
Let me see what I can find, because actually that is what you so brilliantly put together. That's what
Mhm.
swag is all about. It's a framework to say, okay, this is how I'm going to decide to move forward. I may not know how, but I can step with self awareness. I can step with wisdom. I can step with acceptance, and I can step with grace. And then
Yes.
I can continue to, navigate through the situation. So, with that being said, how can people get in contact with you, my friend?
Sure. I am fastest way to get in contact with me, and I'm starting my channel, or actually I'm kind of retooling my channel. I have a YouTube
Love
channel,
it.
and my community is going to be. It doesn't get easier; it just gets different. So you can find me on YouTube and Instagram under it just, excuse me, it just gets different.
You already just confirmed we're doing something else because I need to have you talk all about that. Like this is part one, everybody. Part one today. Part
I
two
love it. I
at
love it.
another
Let's
time.
do it.
I love
Let's
it.
do it.
Excellent, excellent. So yes, I will have that information. I will make sure I get that from you to
Yes.
put in the description so people can be aware. And what I ask people to do, if this was something that was helpful for you, please like, share, and subscribe. I have failed to say that, but specifically, intentionally, I'm going to start doing that. You know why?
As you
Because I
should.
want, yes, I want people to be in a space where they can have community, where you can get an assessment.
Yes.
Again, we're extreme execution coaches. There's an entire community out there. Dr. Eric Thomas, you see
Yes.
people like
Brilliant
Candace
mentor.
Mackey exactly are in this type of community. And if you've never had it, I'm going to let you know it's all right. But guess what you get to do now? You get to create it. I created a term for me and I heard it. I could hear Dr. Thomas's voice. He said, "We just made it up." Like the hip hop
That's
preacher,
it.
we just made it
That's
up.
it. We just made it
Yes,
up.
made up after I got through
And
this
the people
process.
liked it, as he would
Exactly.
say.
That's it. And that's what I was like. This is my process. I'm a healthy life designer, meaning like I am designing my healthiest life
Yeah.
the way that it was intended. But that does, like you said, that takes intention. That takes the determination, and it actually takes a focus, and it takes community. So,
Correct.
everyone, I would like to give a round of applause. I don't have any machine, so I'm going to do my own round of applause to Candace Mackey. Woo-hoo! Yes. Thank you so much, sis, for coming on and
My
sharing.
absolute pleasure. This was so much fun.
Yes. So, y'all, we have to move life through life with swag. And y'all know what it means now. So, I want you to do that for you. And guess what? You're worthy, you're worth it. So, don't you ever take you for granted. Until next time, a notch higher living, I am signing off. And thank you again for being here today. Take
My
care.
pleasure.
All right.